Hello? 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 It's better. Pause the watch page. How is everyone? Hi P900 Sandra. Hi Chris Hayes. Kaz22. Baron Bronskovich. Chris F.E. Jackson, how you doing? Jeremy Brown. Have I missed anyone? Hi Sandy123. How you doing? Excuse me, I got an itch. We'll just cup of tea. Right. How is everybody? Everybody okay? Just gonna. No, it's all right, Kaz. Sort of pop on quick. Everyone was out and kids are in bed and wife's gone out, so I'd jump on quick. I don't get often where I'm on my own with peace and quiet to get on. Right, Luke Marshall, how you doing? I'll show this quickly, just in case, you never know. Did you all see that? Yes, I washed my hair. I went in the shower. Yeah. My wife came down and says, "If you're going on live tonight," she says, "you better get in that shower because your hair's a bit of a stuck up a bit and a bit of a mess." So, there's an echo. Let's see why that's. I don't know. Is it still there? Hi, Midnight Gardener. Rebecca's Way. Hi. Hello, Andy, aka Rudolph Hessiansack. How you doing? Right. We're going to talk about. I was going to. Just have a look at something for all these people out there that need images to show them, because there's a lot of globers out there that need images. So I was going to have a quick look through something about logical fallacy. I was going to share it on the screen. It's got illustrations basically. So talk Chris HV stuff. Hi, Marie. How you doing? Yeah, like I said, I was just gonna share my screen a minute and show you something. Like I said, it's illustrations, so it's for the globers out there that need illustrations because they can't understand words for some reason. I don't know why. You tell them this stuff about logical fallacy and that, and they don't seem to understand it. Either that or they're just pushing an agenda. I think they're just pushing an agenda, to be honest. But I'm going to show this now. Hi, Beyond Belief. How you doing? So, yeah. So, bear with me a second. Right. Can everybody see that? If everybody can see that, can you? An illustrated book of bad arguments. Just found this online, PDF. You see it, yeah? Right, I'll put it back on then. So you can see it. Let me just get the thing back up again. No, wrong one. Hang on. That one. Screen share. Share. Right. So it's got illustrations for these globers that can't seem to understand words. They might understand the illustrations because they like their images. They love their images. So yeah, we've got an illustrated book of bad arguments. It's just a bit here. So I love this illustrated book of bad arguments, a flawless compendium of flaws. Professor Alice Roberts, anatomist, presenter of the BBC's The Incredible Human Journey, and someone at director of the data arts team at Google. It's a wonderfully digestible summary of the pitfalls and techniques of argumentation. Can't think of a better way to be taught or reintroduced to these fundamental notions of logical discourse. A delightful little book. And it says, but seriously, all you need to know is that this work is shared under a Creative Commons license, which means that you can freely share and adapt it for non-commercial use with attribution. Which basically means it's got to tell you who it's by. It's by someone called Ali Al-Mossawi, and the illustration is by Alejandro Geraldo. So I'm just going to go down to who is this book for? It's aimed at newcomers to the field of logical reasoning, particularly those who, to borrow a phrase from Pascal, are so made that they understand best through visuals. I have selected a small set of common errors in reasoning and visualize them using memorable illustrations that are supplemented with lots of examples. The hope is that the reader will learn from these pages some of the most common pitfalls in arguments and be also able to identify and avoid them in practice. We won't go through all this. I'm going to leave I'll give you a link to this anyway. So Richard P. Feynman. The first principle is that you must not fool yourself, and you are the easiest person to fool. Argument from consequence. Arguing from consequences is speaking for or against the truth of a statement by appealing to the consequences of accepting or rejecting it. Just because a proposition leads to some unfavorable result does not mean that it is false. Similarly, just because a proposition has good consequences does not all of a sudden make it true. As David Hackett Fisher puts it, it does not follow that a quality which attaches to an effect is transferable to the cause. In the case of good consequences, an argument may appeal to an audience's hopes, which at times take the form of wishful thinking. In the case of bad consequences, such an argument may instead appeal to an audience's fears. For example, take Dostoevsky's line, "If God does not exist, then everything is permitted." Discussions of objective morality aside, the appeal to the apparent grim consequences of a purely materialistic world says nothing about whether or not the antecedent is true. One should keep in mind that such arguments are fallacious only when they deal with propositions with objective truth values and not when they deal with decisions or policies, such as a politician opposing the raising of taxes for fear that it will adversely impact the lives of constituents, for example. And there's this here, this is an image for you Globers. Well, if you get rid of our cows, then we will have to walk everywhere, and that would be terrible for morale. Therefore, cow emissions are not killing our planet, well, plane. The straw man, intentionally caricaturing a person's argument with the aim of attacking the caricature, rather than the actual argument, is what is meant by putting up a straw man. Misrepresenting, misquoting, misconstruing, and oversimplifying are all means by which one commits this fallacy. The straw man argument is usually one that is more absurd than the actual argument, making it an easier target to attack and possibly luring a person towards defending the more ridiculous argument rather than the original one. And there's a bit here about, I don't agree with this, but this is just an example. My opponent is trying to convince you that we evolved from monkeys who were swinging from trees. A truly ludicrous claim. That is clearly a misrepresentation of what evolutionary biology claims, which is the idea that humans and chimpanzees shared a common ancestor several million years ago. Misrepresenting the idea is much easier than refuting the evidence for it. I don't agree with that anyway. I don't think there was. There's not evolution, not in that sense. What they say. The energetic, muscular, and colourful toucan was completely misrepresented by one of the artists. Later on, he showed the audience his painting and criticised how dull and lifeless the toucan had looked. Appeal to irrelevant authority. An appeal to authority is an appeal to one's sense of modesty, which is to say, an appeal to the feeling that others are more... Excuse me a sec. Knowledgeable. The overwhelming majority of the things that we believe in, such as atoms and the solar system, are on reliable authority, as are all historical statements, to paraphrase C.S. Lewis. Well, no, because see, you can tell the globe earthers wrote this. Then the solar system comes from a reliable authority. No, it doesn't. One may reasonably appeal to pertinent authority, as scientists and academics typically do. An argument becomes fallacious when the appeal is to an authority who is not an expert on the issue at hand. Well, no, I don't agree with this, actually, to be honest. I think this is wrong. Because an appeal to authority, to me, is logical fallacy anyway, no matter who authority is, because they could have a... There's another thing somewhere that I got that says basically it'd be... The authority could have an ulterior motive, they could have a financial gain or all like that. So... A similar appeal worth noting is the appeal to vague authority, where an idea is attributed to the vague collective. For example, professors in Germany showed such and such to be true. Type of appeal to irrelevant authority is the appeal to ancient wisdom, where something is assumed to be true just because it was believed to be true some time ago. For example, astrology was practiced by technologically advanced civilizations such as the ancient Chinese, therefore it must be true. One might also appeal to ancient wisdom to support things that are idiosyncratic or that may change with time. For example, people used to sleep for 9 hours a night many centuries ago, therefore we need to sleep for that long these days as well. There are all sorts of reasons that may have caused people to sleep for longer periods of time in the past. The fact that they did provides no evidence for the argument. And I could add to that basically just because people believe that Eratosthenes put 2 sticks in the ground over a couple of thousand years ago, you know what I mean, doesn't mean it's true. You know what I mean? equivocation. It exploits the ambiguity of language by changing the meaning of a word during the course of an argument and using a different meaning to support some conclusion. A word whose meaning is maintained throughout an argument is described as being used univocally. Consider the following argument. How can you be against faith when we take leaps of faith all the time? With friends, potential spouses, and investments. And the globe Earth, because you've got to take a leap of faith to believe that shit. Here the meaning of the word faith is shifted from a spiritual belief in a creator to a risky undertaking. Common invocation of this fallacy happens in discussions of science and religion, where the word why may be used in equivocal ways. In one context, it may be used as a word that seeks cause, which, as it happens, is the main driver of science. And in another, it may be used as a word that seeks purpose and deals with morals and gaps, which science may well not have answers to. And they ain't got answers to a lot of things. It's all built on assumptions and beliefs, and they've all assumed it to be true. And they've built mathematical constructs around that assumption. One may argue science cannot tell us why things happen. Why do we exist? Why be moral? Thus, we need some other source to tell us why things happen. Right, okay. The Queen told the curious little crane that she could have jam every other day, but never today, since today was not any other day. We didn't look at the picture on here, did we? Peculiarly, Professor Chimp, the world's most distinguished living chemist, is often quoted about matters of fidelity. No. I'll do one more. I'm just going to go down to appeal to fear. This fallacy plays on the fears of an audience by imagining a scary future that would be of their making if some proposition were accepted, rather than provide evidence to show that a conclusion follows from a set of premises, which may provide a legitimate cause for fear. Such arguments rely on rhetoric, threats, or outright lies. For example, I ask all employees to vote for my chosen candidate in the upcoming elections. Well, we know that's bullshit. It's not an election, it's a selection, and your vote don't count. If the other candidate wins, he will raise taxes and many of you will lose your jobs. And there's another example drawn from the novel The Trial. You should give me all your valuables before the police get here. They will end up putting them in the storeroom, and things tend to get lost in the storeroom. Here, although the argument is more likely a threat, albeit a subtle one, an attempt is made at reasoning. Blatant threats or orders that do not attempt to provide evidence should not be confused with this fallacy, even if they exploit one's sense of fear. An appeal of fear may proceed to describe a set of terrifying events that would occur as a result of accepting a proposition which has no clear causal links, making it reminiscent of a slippery slope. It may also provide one and only one alternative to the proposition, being attacked, that of the attacker, in which case it would be reminiscent of a false dilemma. Mr. Frog lost the election after Mr. Donkey convinced everyone that Mr. Frog became the school dean. Soon enough, the entire university will be run by frogs. I think that might be more accurate than you think. Hasty generalization. Right, we're going to stop for now, and I'm going to come back to the chat. Appeal to the stick. Right, what's everyone saying? Oh, some of the examples given for logical fallacies have been written in favour of the globe cult. In actuality, most of these fallacies apply to the globe cult itself. Yeah. People always surprise me how smart they really are. Good stuff. You know, so we have to learn this stuff, because we have to learn about logical fallacy, stuff like that, the trivium, so we can discern for ourselves and learn. Oh, right, okay. Thanks, P900. I didn't know I'd showed the link. I might stop and start back up again. I'm going to stop and start back up again just in case. I don't want to get sniped or I might stop. I'm going to stop and then start straight back up again.